everybody, today is my March Q&A answering all of your questions that you've submitted. The thing now, we've done so many Q&As, is that I'm getting a lot of the same questions over and over. So if I've received a question before I did not answer it, I will include the Q&A playlist below all of my Q&A videos, because now what I do is I list the topic in the boxes below so you can go through and just watch whatever topic you want to. Same with this video. In the box below you'll see a list of topics and the times. You can just click on the time and it'll take you right to it. So all previous Q&As will be listed below in the playlist, so you can go back through those. If I didn't answer your question, I probably answered it in one of the other videos. So here we go. The number one thing I've been getting as of late, probably 10 of you submitted a question along these lines, and that is teachers playing favorites, or you feel ignored, or I had one person say, well, I'm in the class with the teacher's daughter and she gets all the attention. Or I had one of you say, well, I'm not the thinnest one, so I don't get attention. So a lot of you are very concerned about teachers playing favorites and you're being ignored. So basically all I have to tell you is that to remember that this is your career. If you're having a problem with the teacher, if you feel you're being ignored, I would maybe talk to them about it in a nice way. Don't say, well, you're not, da, da, da. You know what I mean? I would say, maybe say, can I set up an appointment with you? Go in and explain, look, I'd like to have more corrections. I'm really passionate about ballet. I was wondering if you could be a little bit harder on me. Or if you feel you're being ignored, still put it on yourself. Don't blame the teacher. Put it on yourself. Say, you know, I feel like I'm behind all of the other girls or all of the other students. I feel like I'm not where I should be, or I'm not progressing as far as I need to be. Things like that. Don't attack your teacher. Put it on you in a way. Because remember, this is your career and nobody's going to stand up for you if you don't. So I would maybe definitely talk to a teacher if you're feeling you're ignored, if you're feeling you're not getting the corrections that you need to. Now, if you are, and it's just simply that the teacher is playing favorites, or if the teacher's daughter is in the class, there's not a whole lot you can do about it. I would just really focus on what you need to do. Take every correction as if it were your own and apply it to yourself. And if it's getting to be a huge, huge problem, maybe look for another school. You want to make sure you're progressing. You want to make sure you're getting corrections. And if you're not, again, it's your career, so it might be time to find another school. I hate jazz at my studio and want to solely focus on ballet. My dream is to get into SAB. Do you think I should be doing a jazz class of some sort? I would say yes. I did jazz as a student and it was not my favorite thing either, and I really wanted to focus on ballet. But so many times at New York City Ballet, especially if you want to get into SAB, there were so many times that I was so thankful that I had jazz training, especially in a lot of those Balanchine jazzy ballets, like Who Cares? Or, you know, even something like the Rubies section in Jules. So many jazzy elements that if I hadn't had jazz training, I wouldn't have been half as comfortable with. So if you can, I would maybe take a class or two just to kind of get outside your comfort zone, get outside your, you know, soul ballet focus just for a bit. It's always good to be well-rounded, because there were some dancers at New York City Ballet who you could tell were ballerinas trying to be jazzy, and it just didn't work. So I would definitely maybe take a jazz class if you can. I've been wondering if there are certain exercises that focus on the wrong muscles, ballet-wise. For example, I hear that upper body exercises are not what dancers should do. Am I right or am I wrong? I definitely agree with you in that we need to be careful as dancers not to bulk up. But the way you can avoid that is how you work. Make sure when you're doing développés or you're doing something with your leg up, not to grip the quads. Think about the supporting hip, think about the leg coming from underneath, things like that. And just think about lengthening all the time. But also Pilates is very, very good. I've said it before, it keeps your muscles long while keeping them strengthened. Don't do a lot of weights work, you know, with a lot of weights. But what you can do, and I've been doing this in my Strength and Stretch for Dancers class that I teach online, is get handheld weights, maybe 1.5, 2 pounds, and do your port de bras. First position open, fifth position with the weights, and you'll feel the shoulder blades. That way you're toning your arms and your muscles and your shoulder blades and all of the upper body area, yet you're still keeping it balletic. So just do, and you'll immediately feel it, especially if you do, you know, arabesque arms with weights or big port de bras with weights. I'm telling you, you will feel it. And then once you put the weights down, everything becomes easier. So yes, don't use a lot of heavy weights or a lot of heavy things in the gym, but you can do Pilates, you can do your ballet arms with weights, things like that. And also make sure that you're working correctly in class, that you're not gripping. Do you have any at-home DVD recommendations for workouts that will complement ballet? Yes, there is one. I believe there are 2 editions. The New York City Ballet Workout, that was probably at least 10 years ago it came out. If it's still available, I will link it below. It's basically a Pilates, ballet-based strength training kind of workout with New York City Ballet dancers. Version 1 and 2. If it's still available, I will link it below. That's a good one. Any Pilates DVDs are great. I believe, could be wrong, I believe Darcy Bustle, a Royal Ballet principal, has a couple of Pilates kind of DVDs out. She was obviously a ballerina. So I will link those below as well. So the New York City Ballet workouts and Darcy Bustle's Pilates, but really any Pilates mat type of classes are good. How can I make sure I'm always in good alignment? I've gotten the correction multiple times and each time I apply it, but it's difficult for me to remember, especially in center. Any advice? The thing about alignment is you want to make sure you're not arching your back and you're not tucking. You want a nice long spine. You want to feel that the shoulders and the chest are opening up, but they're not up here, right? Shoulders press down, ribs go in. So you have this kind of push-pull thing. So this is opening up, this is pushing down, and the ribs are closing, yet you want to think there's a string coming out of the top of your head. I also want you to start thinking about everything coming from your core. If you think about even something like an arabesque starting in your center, it goes internally and moves externally rather than I'm doing an arabesque. See what I mean? Rather than if it starts from the core and moves out, you're going to be a lot more placed, a lot more in line than just kind of going for it. So really think about everything coming from your core, not tucking and not arching your back. It's nice and neutral and long. You shouldn't feel a pull either way. Everything is long, it comes from the core. This stays open, shoulders are back and down, ribs stay closed. Because a lot of people open the shoulders and they keep this open and they think they're in line, but the ribs are really far out. So keep the ribs in, this stays open, and everything comes from your center. How many pairs of pointe shoes should a student have at a given time? How long should they last? Excellent question, because once you get to the professional level, we can go through as many as 2 a day. At least 2 pairs if you're doing a 3-act ballet. It's ridiculous. But as a student, you know, it's tricky when you're a very young student starting out. You can have a pair last for months at a time. You don't want your shoes, when you're a little bit older, I'd say 15, 16, 17, you don't want them lasting too long because that means you're not using your feet. You want your shoes to be worn out and you see that, oh yeah, I'm going through shoes, which sounds counterproductive. You think, oh, I want to make my shoes last. But if your shoes are wearing out, that's good because that means you're using your feet. If you see those people who are now, 16, 17, I've had a pair for 3 months. That's probably not good. At SAB, we were given 2 pair a week. And we were doing everything we could to make those 2 pair a week last. So I would say between 1 and 2 every 2 weeks is probably, you're probably right. Don't worry about the professionals saying they're going through 2 pair a day because you're dancing 8 to 10 hours a day. So that's going to happen. But as a student, I'd say, a pair every 2 weeks or so, maybe less. Do you have any tips on making sure your tights don't get holes in them? Make sure with tights that if you wash them in the washing machine, which you can, wash them in the washing machine and hang them up to dry. Make sure you don't wash them with anything with a zipper because the zippers will get caught on the tights, rip the tights. I've learned that the hard way, so make sure if you're washing your tights in the washing machine, don't wash them with anything with a zipper, or you can hand wash them. That's never wrong. But if you get a hole and you're in the middle of a performance, happened to me many times, spray it with hairspray. And what happens is the hairspray will hold the hole and it won't make it get, it obviously won't close the hole, but it will prevent it from getting bigger. So if, you know, you're in a disaster situation, I just got a hole in my tights, what do? Spray it with hairspray and the hole should stay and not grow. My left foot arches from the top of my foot while my right only arches from the ankle. This means that my left foot arches is higher when my right foot is stronger. Is this a bad thing, and do you have any exercises to improve my right foot arch? The thing to improving your arches is to make sure that they're loose. So like I've said, in the feet and point work strengthening video that I've done, that is one of my most popular videos, I will link it below. Get a little ball, roll out the bottom of your feet. That loosens the arch muscles so they can point more. Just a lot of TheraBand exercises. And if you have one foot that's better than the other, or have one foot that's stronger than the other, do more exercises on the weaker side. Don't do them evenly, because then you're going to stay, one foot's going to stay stronger than the other. So if you have a weak foot, mine is my right foot, much weaker than my left. I always do TheraBand exercises, twice as many on the right than the left. And that will help whether you're having arch problems, you're having strength problems, because if you keep doing the same thing, it's going to stay the same. So TheraBand exercises, and make sure you're rolling out your feet to loosen up those arch muscles. But again, I will link that video, feet and point work strengthening workout, and overview of the exercises below. The next couple of questions deal with pirouettes. In my pirouettes, I often fall out of them. I'm pretty sure it's because I bend my standing knee and lift my shoulders. Do you have any tips to help me? The thing about pirouettes, and this goes along with the second question, do you have any tips for bringing your foot down in pirouettes, like how to keep it up and finish? Tell yourself, you're in control of your legs, right? Your legs don't control you, you control your legs. So you do 1, 2, finish the turn up and down. Again, I will link, I have the pirouettes from 5th video, I have the, I think, just normal pirouettes video. I've done a couple of pirouettes videos, I will link them below. Linking a lot of stuff below today, but you'll see all of that. The thing about a pirouette is to make sure, again, you're in control, so tell yourself, 2, 1, count backwards, 2, 1, now I finish. Almost like see yourself finish, then come down. You're in control. Don't get scared. A lot of people with pirouettes get scared, and they think they have to come down. Say, I'm going to stay up, and I'm going to finish. Don't tense up and, you know, ugh. And with holding that leg up, again, you're in control. Actually think, I'm going to keep it up there, and then I'm going to finish. You're in control of your legs. But I do elaborate on this in that pirouette video that I will link below. How do you warm up for your performances? Do you do a full class before, or do you simply stretch a bit and practice the things you've got to do? Very, very good question. I will probably do its own video. This requires its own video if you guys are interested. But basically, just to give you an overview, in that class warm-up routine that I showed you all, I basically do some of that. Roll out my feet, roll out my hips, stretch a little bit, just kind of get things going. And then at New York City Ballet, there was no warm-up class unless it was a matinee day. So for Saturday matinee and Sunday matinee, we had our normal company class that ended a half an hour before the performance, and then we did it. But most days you had class in the morning, and then you rehearsed all day long, and then you warmed yourself up. There was no extra warm-up class. So basically, I would, on non-matinee days, do a modified bar, because you also have to remember we had been dancing all day long up until that point. So basically, you want to do enough, but as little as possible, because I did find, especially early on as a dancer, a young dancer, that when I would do too much, I'd get tired halfway through the performance. I would do a really hard bar, and then my legs would give out. So you need to do enough, but as little as possible, so that you can peak on the stage. Think of your performance as the center of your class. Like you do bar and then center. You really want to be primed in the center. You don't want to give everything you have at bar. So I would just do a little bit of bar, put my shoes on. I always had my ritual, which again I will go into in a full video if you guys want it. Costume, shoes, and then I would, if I could, do a little bit of going through some of the tricky bits before the curtain went up on the stage. But again, it was just doing enough, not too much. My ballet teacher has recently told me that I need to gain a little bit of weight in order to stay healthy. While I understand why she has told me this, I'm not sure how to gain weight healthily and without gaining too much. Could you help me? Yes. Basically, to gain weight, you need to take in more than you are putting out. So eat more than you are burning off. To do it healthfully, I would eat very healthy fats, peanut butter, nuts, put olive oil in things, things like that, getting your omegas, still making sure it's healthy, but not just saying, okay, great, I get to put on weight, let me eat junk food. There is a healthy way to do it. Lots of high fats, but good fats. Olive oil, like I said, nuts, peanut butter, things like that. Just make sure that you are eating enough during the day, that you're not just burning it off. Guys especially have this problem. There are a lot of guys who are told they need to put on weight. When they're in the school, they're these little kind of shrimpy guys, and then once they get in the company, they become these big, they become the big dancers you all know. But they do a lot of that. They do a lot of protein shakes. I would maybe make sure you're eating a lot of protein, things like that. Don't go and say, great, I'll have 3 pizzas and a tub of ice cream. That's not the way to do it. You know that. That's why you're asking how to do it healthfully. But basically to eat good fats and make sure you're eating enough. I was wondering what you think of the turning boards that have become so popular. Several of my friends have them, and so I wondered if you think they really help getting multiple turns. All of my teachers say that I have very good balance for turns, yet I can't consistently get clean multiples. Do you think a turn board would help with this? Not really. The turning boards, to me, are actually dangerous, because if you lose your balance, you could fall and hurt yourself. Basically, to get multiple turns, and again, in that pirouette video we talked about earlier, I will link it below, getting multiples in turns are your shoulders. It's not about your balance, it's not about your legs. Your legs are going to do the same thing whether you do 1 turn or 6. Yes, balancing is important. If you can't balance counting 1, 2, 3, you're not going to get 3 turns because you don't have the strength to hold it. But if you do have good balance, as you say you do, it's your shoulders. You have to bring the shoulders with you. It's like I talk about in that video, opposite side around, or as we've been discovering lately in the Pirouettes from 5th video, I believe, same shoulder back. So if you're turning to the right, think right shoulder back, or left shoulder forward. Because if you don't get this moving, think about it, if you leave it behind, right, you're not going to get around. So if you have the balance, you have the leg strength. Multiples is all about spotting, so make sure your head is loose and your neck and you're not holding your head like that. And shoulders. Bring that arm, bring it around, and that should help you with the multiples. Turning board, you're not using your muscles. You're up on the disc and you're going around. You know what I mean? You don't need a turning board to do that. You can do it with your own body weight. So I wouldn't worry about the turning boards. Just make sure that you can balance for how many turns you want to do, 3, 2, 1, and make sure you're using your shoulders. Where did you get the pieces of dance floor you have in your home studio? How can the rest of us get some? Very, very simple. You see it in all the dance magazines, advertised, full page, Harlequin floors. You give them the size specifications that you'd want, and you can order it. Very, very simple. I will link Harlequin floors below. I got mine probably when I was 12, so I've had my floor for quite a while. So that's, what, 13 years? So, you know, it's still great quality, not slippery. To me, a slippery ballet floor is very, very treacherous. Great, great floors, Harlequin floors. I will link them below. I have tendonitis. Any tips or tricks to help it? I'm not on point yet, and I don't want this to be a bigger problem when I get on point. Tendonitis is basically an overworked tendon. So the thing you need to do is rest it. Make sure you are icing and heating. You want to kind of alternate ice and heat. That's what I have learned throughout my career. When I had tendonitis, they would tell me to alternate ice and heat because it is overworked. So you want to ice to get the swelling down, but also the heat to kind of relax it. Basically with tendonitis, you just have to watch it. You just have to be careful. It's not anything you can really, there's no prescription for it. Also anti-inflammatories. Either take Aleve, Advil, something like that. This always works. If you're not big on popping pills, just make sure you're eating an anti-inflammatory diet. No gluten, no dairy, things like that. Things that will inflame your body. So just, just rest, be careful, eat well, ice and heat, and just watch it. Because a tendonitis can lead to tendon snaps. If you're not careful, it could rip. So it's just a matter of taking the time and being careful. Do you have any tips or exercises to help improve a sway back? Fantastic question. Your abs and your core support your back. So the biggest thing I can tell you to do is a lot of ab work, Pilates, I've said it before. Make sure your core is really, really strong because all of those muscles, obliques, everything support your back. Also your hips. Make sure your hips are nice and strong. I will do a more exercisey type video soon if you guys are interested. I have the strength and stretch class that I'm teaching online, but I will give you guys some more core exercises maybe and some hip exercises. If you're interested, let me know in the box below. So it's just about your core because your core supports your back. So like those DVDs we were talking about, New York City Ballet Workout, Darcy Bussel's Pilates, any Pilates really will help you with that. And if you can get into a Pilates class, you can tell your instructor, look, I have sway back problems, I have this problem, etc., and they can tailor-make exercises for you. But the key to your sway back is ab and core exercises. The last little thing you guys asked me about are recipes. You want to know some of my favorite recipes, some of the things I eat. If you're interested, I'll do more videos on that. So let me know in the comments below if you're interested in recipe, more food videos, etc. Maybe I'll stick some in my 5-minute fix series type thing. Also, if you're interested in the ab and core and more exercisey type videos, as well as the how I prepare for my performance video. Again, the more you guys give me your video suggestions, while I can't reply to everybody, it helps me know where to go with this channel. More technique videos coming soon, as promised. I'll try and get another bar workout in there soon as well. There's so many wonderful things that are coming up for me that I can't tell you guys about yet. But my life has become very, very, very busy, so that's why that sometimes I don't always reply to you guys, or I can't quite get to every request, but I will absolutely do my best to keep trying to keep this channel as varied and as helpful as possible. So I love you all so, so much. Thank you for your fantastic questions. Again, all those things linked below, as well as the previous playlist, or the playlist of previous Q&As. If I didn't answer your question, it's probably there. I love you all so much. Have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you on Tuesday. To watch my video on how to improve your arabesque, you can click it. Also, please click the subscribe button to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Thanks again for watching.